Yes, we are back. It's Tuesday night.
And we are live here.
We are.
And we are in the middle of a contemporary music festival. It's really fun. We have our third release tonight with this guy here, Sune Mattias Emanuelsson. Variations on Bingen. It's going to be very, very exciting. But we mustn't forget that our previous festival and now competition today reached a very important landmark.
1,000 streams.
Festival and competition has just reached 1 million streams.
Sorry, million. I said 1,000, Maestro. It was 1 million.
That's why I continue to talk.
But it's incredible numbers, isn't it? I mean, it's crazy.
It's very nice. Very nice. And we are starting well with this contemporary music festival too. Mm-hmm. We hope to get as far as 1 million. We don't know yet. It's long. It's just in the beginning. We are up at 30,000 at the moment, but with everything sort of escalating, and the more interested there be. So everyone spread the rumor here. It's really we are so excited. We think the first releases went very well, and I'm sure you're gonna love this release when you hear, for instance, Mattias Lundberg, who is really a medieval music scholar. Mm.
And same as always, leave your comments below. We will have trombone tips and questions at the end of the show. So leave your comments on the link on Facebook, and stream along and join us on Facebook, Instagram, and
tell me just something about this guy, Sune Emanuelsson. Something. Oh my God, what's going on here?
Well, I wanted to come in early this time because I have some. It's me. It's.
It's Jack. Hello, Jack.
Hey, hello.
I've heard some rumors about. I mean, you have great success now with the European Gramophone, but you have a dark history that soon will be unrevealed. And isn't that so? And correct me if I'm wrong. That when you recorded your latest master trilogy, the Kundran trilogy, it was recorded in Lithuania, in the Baltic countries.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that true? And why is that? Is that because the musicians are cheaper there? The cheaper labor in Lithuania?
Come on. They are one of the greatest orchestra in the world. They're fantastic.
Is it fair to say that if European Gramophone were actually releasing physical CDs, they would have been printed in China or in some other low salary country? Is that
no,
okay? Just one thing. When you were in Lithuania many years ago, a couple of years ago, and then Corona came, and then you built your 1 million kroner studio without having any gigs due to the Corona. Why did you stay another week in Lithuania, and why was your bags heavier when you came home than they were when you left? Can you explain that? It's a simple question. It's a simple question. Were there drugs in those bags, Mr. Lindberg? That's what I'm answering. That's what I'm asking. Were there drugs?
You are going out, Fredrik.
You're going out now. No, Fredrik.
No!
Were there drugs?
There were no drugs.
I'm sorry, Maestro. He hacked our proxy server.
He really went too far. Were there drugs? Come on.
I think so. So, where were we?
Okay. Well, we are now leaving him out. Make him stay there. We are at the trombone tip now, so he should not destroy this at least.
Tell us, we're eager to learn the trombone. What would you teach us today, Maestro?
Now, today last week we got a very wonderful question actually about lip pressure. How to work with lip pressure as a brass player. It's a very interesting question because it's been very controversial. When I started to play, there was the non-pressure method. And there were some teachers in America that said you should have the instrument in a string from above and play like this without any pressure at all. And everything was based on playing without pressure. And I had a lot of colleagues that played like that, and they were feeling very comfortable because it didn't hurt at all to play. But they all had a similar problem. The sound was very thin, and they couldn't really do anything with it, and the air came out from here. So the question is, of course, how do you balance this, and how do you learn not to press too much? That was the question, I think. But I would say also, how do you learn not to press too little? Because there's always a pressure. And as usual, I always come back to the one note in the center, the F, the middle F. What goes on there with the embouchure should basically be going on everywhere in the register. But I tell you now the difference, what happens. Now, first of all, to be able to play that note without having the air going out your sides, like this, you either have to strengthen these muscles and keep them firm, really firm here, or you can press. So that's, if you don't have strong enough muscles here, the result will be that you press too much. And also, there is another way that if the air is fast, more air comes out. So basically, you have to have the lip pressure that pushes that way, and then equal amount of pressure, so that the balance is exactly like it is in water, like it is in between air and water and everything. So it's like, and when you play louder, it puts much more pressure on these muscles. So you have to keep them even firmer then. And when you go up, the air is faster and smaller, sort of a smaller airstream. So up there, it's even more important to keep those muscles. And there will be a little bit more pressure up there because you need to keep it together. So up there, naturally, you have to press a little bit more. And when you play fortissimo. Now, there is a fantastic exercise, which I want to be able to tell. I'm keeping those at 5 minutes. But I want to show you now. Dennis Wick showed me this back in, it's a wonderful exercise on how you strengthen these muscles. Because what happens, if you play piano, then there's not so much pressure on those. You make a crescendo, you keep the muscles here, and you try not to press more. So it's like working with exactly these muscles, working not to press too much. So the same pressure in fortissimo as in piano. You try that. You shouldn't do it 100% when you play, but when you do this exercise, you do. So it's like this. You will notice that when the crescendo comes, you want to press more, but you're not allowed in this exercise. Also make sure the underlip doesn't go up like this. Keep it open, and it's going to feel a lot on these muscles. So long notes, crescendo, diminuendo, up there, but be careful. Do 4 or 5 notes. Dennis Wick said 8, but I would do a little bit less. Take a break of 2 to 3 minutes. Go one step higher, start on, and then start. When you come to the B flat, your muscles here are completely worn out, and you really did a good job for your lift. So that's the trombone tip of tonight.
Thank you, Maestro.
And the questions.
Yeah.
Put the questions in. If you want to, I haven't decided yet what the tip will be next week, so you can suggest, and I'll probably take you up on that one. And any questions on this comes later in the show, but now I think what's going on now? Now we are about to go to the next subject.
Yeah, Christian, I mean, we have a fantastic release coming any minute now on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, you name it. Sune Mattias Emanuelsson's variations on Hildegaard from Bingen.
Yes, it's a totally amazing contemporary commentary, if you like, on Hildegaard from Bingen's music. Please give us a little example, Per, here, so we get a little taste before we...
Fantastic. Let us hear just a few seconds.
There will be much more. So, and now we're bringing on one of the true experts. You don't like me to say that, because as all scientists, you are modest, which I think is fantastic. You are at least a professor and a scholar in medieval music. Mattias Lundberg, welcome.
Welcome.
Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Yes. So first of all, how do you react to this transformation of Bingen's music? For Puritans, Bingen fans, is it without controversy that this release happens? Tell us, go into it. You know everything about the Puritans, you know about Sune Mattias, go.
Well, I personally, I was very fascinated by this, the way that Sune Mattias have worked with a sort of raw material, so to speak, of the performed passages from this antiphon by Hildegaard. And as for the Puritans, I think many people are, in a way, it's a sort of a seal of honor in a way to be for a creator of music 850 years ago to still be used in this way. So I think that even the sort of hardline Puritans would be very interested in hearing this. And also I find it so fascinating that working as an electroacoustic composer today works with the same sort of process as these creators in the Middle Ages did, because they also presupposed a lot of material that they jumbled up and put together and stuck them without having tapes, of course, 850 years ago. It was very much a similar process of work. So that makes it also very fascinating, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was completely knocked out when I heard it. I couldn't really imagine how it was going to happen when I listened back to it, came back to it many times, and I felt everything was very exciting. Go on. I mean, continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's very...
You have a lot to say about Bingen and everything.
No, but I think it's very interesting that also at another level, I think there are similarities between, because I think some of these tracks, for example, the variation that is called Misery, has a lot of pain and anguish, and you could say filth into it, and a sort of anxiety in it, which are in a way very medieval sort of sentiments. Hildegaard's texts are very much, because not only did she write a lot of music, but she also wrote revelations, as you may have heard of. She had these revelations like Saint Bridget of Sweden, where she saw people around her and powerful people, which she sort of played with in this sort of revelation. That's a kind of an art form in itself. Of course, she would say that these were divine revelations. But so would, I mean, romantic composers. Beethoven would say that his music was divinely inspired. And I think that also in modern and postmodern societies, we could think of this as sort of inspiration. So I think everyone would agree that Sune Mattias has been inspired, which is also a word that is found in the title of this antiphon by Hildegaard, Spiritus Sanctus. So somebody breathes in the spirit, and that's where the creation comes from, so to speak.
It's very interesting. How much do we know of Hildegaard from Bingen? Do we know anything apart from the music and her writings?
Well, we know a little bit more than with many other people from this period. I mean, she was born in the very last years of the 11th century and lived until the end of the 1170s. And since she became such a powerful figure, she started becoming the leader of a big monastery and then went on to start a new one, and was in a big conflict, or even with popes and cardinals and bishops, because of her very stubborn. So she is a kind of thing that if Hollywood were to make a sort of biopic of Hildegaard, people would have thought that this was sort of a modern adaptation, but she was actually that kind of person, very brave, very stubborn, and a creator in so many fields, not just music and these texts, but also as a theologian and in medical and sciences and botany. As you know, people in the Middle Ages were interested in everything that they could read and write about. Yeah.
I have the feeling that she was very emotional, and also she was not like something that I think Sune also brings in here. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of lament. Is one moment, for instance. It's like
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of this sort of many of the sort of passions and sort of sentiments that have been banished, that would never appear, of course, in music from the classical era, or not even with romantic composers, are found in Sune Mattias' work here. That we have some of the concrete sounds. Of course, as a listener, you're always trying to find out what is it that makes it, because we know there's a concrete sound. So is that a car door, or does it bang on something? And it's like this is how our brains work, I think. So we cannot help but trying to always guess, what is that sound? Where does it come from? And that again is a kind of a revelation aspect, I think, to music, because I mean, someone like Hildegaard, when she created her music and when she had her revelations, she believed that they came from somewhere else. It wasn't her speaking, it was from the spheres and from God. And that's exactly what an electroacoustic composer does. He takes the sounds that comes from somewhere else, and sometimes the track from the antiphon where his song has been processed so much, so it's difficult to hear that it's music. And sometimes the things that started out not as music has become music. Of course, it's all music, but you see what I mean? I've become pitch-wise and so, yeah.
Should we? I mean, we have to bring on the guy now.
Yeah, of course.
We're discussing about him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't bring on Hildegaard, but Sune Mattias is alive and kicking, so to speak. So
and you're playing this lament, don't you?
Yeah.
While he's coming on.
Yeah.
We have to mention also we're playing the track Lament, which is dropping also tonight on this fantastic recording, and it's based on a poem by the Scottish poet Anthony McVeigh. So here it goes.
Words that haunt me in the wind around my house, lurking there among the trees, my bees, and among the birds. The blackbird Coltrane with his yellow beak and his elegant wife, so brown and nervous and discreet.
Well, Sune!
Welcome to the show!
It's great to have this now.
Thank you.
By midnight, this piece is going to be released on around 200 different streaming platforms. Tell me, Per, Spotify is sometimes early with this. What happens?
I have some fantastic news, ladies and gentlemen, music lovers. It dropped just now, so I now have the link, at least on Spotify. So what I will do is I will just copy the link in the commentary field below on Facebook.
And if you don't have Spotify, it's out on Apple at least midnight, Amazon, Tidal, all the big platforms, and also the smaller ones like Pandora, for instance, which has just a few streams of classical music, but we are there too. So it's really wonderful. So, Mattias, how does it feel?
Brilliant. It's finally it's out. It's been a long process for me to work with this, and I've been going through a lot of changes in my personal life, but I think I kept pushing through and to make this album, to finalize this album. And of course, I'm very happy and I'm very relieved, and as it's about time. So tomorrow I will start my new project for real now. So we keep on moving, we keep on pushing and pressing on, which I have done during this process of making this record as well. One thing that should be mentioned, I guess, without is that it's partly financed by the Swedish Arts Council, and I think that has to be mentioned. Otherwise, they'll become.
Yeah, of course, it's wonderful. We have a great system in Sweden. I think we should be proud of that.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Sune, you also, I mean, I know how hard you work with every single piece. You are sort of dedicated, and you are not much of a media person. You stay away, you do your thing, and you do it 100%, and then it comes.
Listen. Put a camera in my face and I'll play and I'll dance. You know, put a camera in my face. It's not me not being a media person. It's the media not being a me person.
But where are you right now?
One day, who knows?
Tell us, where are you right now?
I am up in Lapland at this moment. I'm a couple of kilometers from the Norwegian border, up in the hills.
That's what I mean. You're not in Stockholm, you're not in London,
exactly.
You're not in Europe. You're in Lapland.
I'm in Lapland now.
We have to bring you out. We have to drag your music out. No. Honestly,
Mattias.
What I mean is that there is a certain way of certain non-compromising thing with quality in you, which I enjoy a lot.
Well, thank you very much. This is something that I for me, and doing when I decided to do an album, a full-length album, this is 18 tracks over 55 minutes of music, approximately. And when I decided to do this project, and finally got partly had it funded, for a long time I've been listening to a lot of electroacoustic music, and I just get the feeling it's not really well composed. It's like people put sounds together, and then what comes out. But I am a composer and I write music, and I want to do something that is actually compositionally correct and also inventional, you know, trying to push the boundaries forward, you know, trying to push things forward. And for a couple of years before the project started, I've been working for it for quite some time. I also spent a lot of time being quite miserable, actually, you know, depressed and in solitary, and not feeling that things in my life maybe had turned out the way I hoped they would when I was a youth. And, you know, they say, like Bernard Shaw said, that youth is wasted on the young, and that is the truth now. And I am not interested. For me, when I hear a lot of electroacoustic contemporary music, I hear drones and I hear noises and I hear kids seemingly enjoying to go down to Berlin and take ecstasy and speed and do whatever. And for me, that is a part of my life that is way beyond and past me, and I'm over and above that. So I decided that I wanted to do a traditionally counterpoint and work with lines, and also work with the album as in its form, so each composition in itself, each variation, each track is a closed circuit, if you'd like, of a composition in itself. But also the album from start to finish has its own also dramaturgical curvation to it.
Sune, what I want to know is what was it that attracted you to Bingen? And I had a feeling with the discussions I had over the mails and the things that it's a lot about the emotions, like the inside feeling of how did she feel, and or you are sort of exposing things that you imagine that she would feel. Is that true or not?
No, I haven't really tried to channel Hildegaard from Bingen herself, like and trying to put myself in her position. But I definitely feel very strongly connected to her, as you were saying before you put me on here. The spirituality and her the sensation of the creation and what and eternal human questions and ponderings of what is God, like what is God. And what is what unites us, and what is evil, and what is love, and what is hate, and I've been trying to puzzle all these kind of basic emotions together, and the result is some. I think it kind of you what you realize is that love and hate is just the same. Has the same source. It's the same. It's just two different sides of a coin or a penny, you know. And also,
and it's because it's your titles are like they're very descriptive and very sort of they tease your fantasy a lot.
I hope
then
so.
You think of her and the Spiritus Sanctus is the basis for it.
It's the basis. That's the hymn that's the basic hymn. And then there's also footsteps and bells and voices from other sources that I've a lot of sample-based material, quite a few samples from adult films that I had to watch there purposely, only for strictly researchal purposes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Mattias, we have to move on the show. It's been a fantastic pleasure to have you here, and
Thanks
extremely interesting.
We continue the discussion now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
There are some questions for after the trombone tip that we need to bring in before we end here.
Yeah, we're going to play this as well.
If you see me coming, you better run because I'm gonna lay you the fuck down.
Yeah. As we said earlier, the album is out, so check it out. I'm myself very, very interested in just listening to it. But we have some trombone questions to the maestro. We have one from Mario. I think he is from Vienna, not Milano, but no, that's another country, right? But it has to do with what you were talking about earlier on, Christian. Lip injuries. We're talking about lips. Can you injure your lips? I'm wondering here if Mario have been injured in the lips. It must be a total disaster for a trombone player, right?
It's absolutely the worst thing that can happen.
Have you experienced this?
Sorry?
Have you yourself experienced it?
Yeah, well, yes, I've had injuries, which I had to work with in a very special way. But specifically when I was young, in 1920, I had some real injuries. And I know that people get really, really injured and get bad in their face. The thing is, well, the question was how to relate to them.
No, it was just a question about...
If I had. Yeah.
And there's another question
I mean, at some points, it can happen that you can't play for... I remember in 95 or 94, I was recording Egnon by Takemitsu. It's a long, huge piece. It's like 50 minutes long in Tokyo, with 2 symphony orchestras, trombone solo and oboe solo. And right before that, I had this very funny feeling and I didn't know how to work with it. But basically, what you have to think, if when you start to feel an injury, you got to be very, very careful with practicing in the middle register, settle the middle register, practice the same amount every day and a little bit less than you usually do. Practice in the morning, spread it out over the day. Don't play sort of controlled in like 5 minutes or so.
Thank you. Just one more short question. That sort of, is in the same paradigm here. Dean from Texas asked you, he's seen the pictures of you smoking 60 cigarettes a day. What happened when you pick up the trombone after quitting the smoking thing? Did you become a better or a musician?
No. Unfortunately not.
So
I did some of my best albums I did when I was smoking. I was in playing the romantic Trombone concertos. Then I smoked all the time. But I mean, as a human being, I get stronger, so I can practice more.
Yeah, of course.
I feel much more healthy. I can breathe better. But the playing was not necessarily better. What the heck are you doing, Jack?
I have a question for Mattias, actually.
This is trombone questions.
No, never mind the trombone. Let's talk about Hildegaard, because did you know, seem to know a lot about her, but did you know her violent side, that a weapon actually was called after her, but it was a misunderstanding of her name, so they named it Hildegaard. Hellbird in English. And also, can you...
So the Hildegaard von Bingen, does that mean that you bring it into your bed?
And that's my next question, because Bingen is Swedish for bed, right? And that she had like a lustful sexual life, and that's why it came to name her von Bingen, from the bed. So she was very crazy in that sense.
She had
research on that?
Yes, she had problems getting up out of bed in the morning, so they named her for Hildegaard von Bingen.
That's very nice. It's nice to have it from a scholar like you. Now we know
lovers, we have
Let's talk about the next the festival now. We have Sune Mattias release now next week. We have Matthew Peterson. And then what I think is exciting, Mattias, you haven't done your homework yet, because you're going to choose your favorites from your album. So we're going to put.
Speaking about me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You have to do this.
I have the same problem. That's actually one reason that I chose to use Hildegaard from Bingen from all the medieval composers. I have also troubles getting out of bed in the morning, so I'll get right to it, and I'll send you that material tomorrow, I promise.
Wonderful. Because what is going to happen at the end of this festival, we are doing a contemporary music competition with the tracks from all 4 albums, and then you can choose and 10 tracks, and you stream and you win prizes and everything. So
sounds brilliant.
Yeah. Wonderful. We, as usual, we are 4 minutes over time, but
because it's so pleasant to do these.
So much. It should be so much more to talk about, because it's a deep thing, and everyone go in and listen. I listen at least 5 or 6 or 7 times, and I must say the music grows every time. Yesterday I gave it really some time to listen also to the words and everything, and I'm completely knocked out. It's a fantastic album, Sune Mattias. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sune Mattias, and thank you, Mattias, so much for being here. Frederick, where did the other guy go? Oh,
he left.
See you next week, music lovers.
Join
us on Facebook, Instagram, you know it.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Goodbye.